talking, Christian. Can't hear anything.
Yeah, thank you, teams, for filtering out all the music. But folks that are joining us on the live stream, they're seeing our join the live screen, and they're hearing some rave music.
So Teams is going to be hosting any raves.
Scream. You can watch it on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
For a second there, I thought you said I'm underwear.
Yeah, that too.
Well, it is, no pants month.
Is it really?
So, yeah, that was we've been talking with Leanna.
I'm usually going to pick up my other camera now until I actually leave and come back. So I'm leaving and coming back.
Gotcha. So, where are you streaming to? Facebook.
Watch it. Check Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Check out my profile.
In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
All right. Well, we're ready to get started. Of course, we lost Mike. He was just here, but
He's coming.
Well, good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Christian.
How are things going?
It's a Monday. I'll let that.
It is a
answer my
Monday.
question. Your question.
Very astute of you.
Yes.
There's Mr. Riz joining in. Eric, you missed the rave music beginning, but Will, and there's Neil.
Did I though? Did I really miss it? Ask yourself.
Yeah. Good one. Yes. But thanks everybody for joining, and we've got an action-packed episode 32 to go through today. So, yeehaw! I'm just adjusting screens here. There's Mike back. Mike's dealing with a flicker today. There he is.
I got a flicker.
Yep. It's
Well, don't
little-
bring that on us.
little penicillin will clear that up, Mike. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, Neil, how's it going?
Going well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. And all right, so episode 32. For those that are joining us, so we are live streaming on 4 locations. So we're in a couple locations out on Facebook, but we're also live streaming to Twitter via Periscope, to LinkedIn, and over on YouTube. As always, this is the Microsoft Community Office Hours, episode 32. If you'd like to find out what we've been talking about these 32 weeks, 31 past weeks, you can go out to my blog at buckleyplanet.com, and you could easily find all of the past recordings. It's also out on YouTube, and there is a link list of every topic that we've covered, so you don't have to wade through the hours of video. You can jump right to the topic that interests you. I have that
But
dream.
what fun is that?
Yeah, well, I have that dream of creating that searchable database. Remember, Sean, we were talking about that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, yeah.
So what happens? I want to know what happens when we hit like the milestones, right? What happens when we hit 50 episodes? What happens when we hit 100 episodes? Are we gonna get like cake or
Yeah.
something?
Cancel.
Badges.
You get canceled.
Pucks. We get like community pucks.
I'll take tacos. You know, tacos are okay.
But
So
Taco Tuesday, not Monday.
I will order them. They're these huge crystal statuettes, and then we'll have milestone pucks for each of those. You'll have to pay for it. They're like $1,000.
No.
But I'm just saying,
from Buckley, that's coming from Buckley Enterprises, LLC. That's little bobbleheads.
That's right. The
Imagine having
bobbleheads.
a little Christian bobblehead and just being able to bobble.
Well,
bobble.
bobbleheads to represent all religions,
slap,
Mike.
slap.
Yes. Yeah. Slap the bobblehead. All right. Eric, are you going to join us on screen, or are you being shy today?
Oh yes, quite shy, as
All
you
right.
all know. Very shy.
Excellent.
Don't worry, I'll be there.
Okay.
I'm
All
just
right.
putting my hair on.
He's got to put clothes on first.
Well, for those that are watching through one of the various vehicles there for the live stream, if you have any questions you'd like us to address, you can just type it out in the chat. I'll be jumping between the various chats, but over on Facebook, it's in the Office 365 community group, and on LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, on Twitter. You can ask the questions, and I'll grab those and offer them up. But we've got a list of questions to go through. Did anybody preview them? Have any preferences of where to start? Any questions you'd like to address first?
I'm going to be honest and say I'm a bad guy. I didn't look. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Now Neil's being honest. We're not usually honest. We just say, "Oh no, go ahead."
Yeah.
Is that an electronic mail, Christian?
Yes, it would be electronic mail. I did stick it into the United States Postal Service into the box, letters with each of those. But since I deposited those yesterday, you won't get them until Wednesday or Thursday, Eric. So
Oh,
I'd really like to
okay,
address. I'd really like to address number 6. Since
Okay.
it's such an elaborate, informative, contextual question. I'd really like to
we
address that.
we could start right there and so what happened to Shari? I thought I just added her.
You blocked her. Ooh.
I added it.
It was a false start there. Yeah. Shari, is that you?
Great, how are you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Hey, we're just about to get started, so welcome.
Thank you.
And so why don't we do you really want to start with number 6, or do we start from the top? There's a
Well,
few that are
it's easy to eliminate. It's easy to eliminate. I mean, look at the question.
okay. So all right, let's start with number 6. Anna asked the question: where do we check who deleted one of the groups?
What?
I know. So this happens, folks. People go out and ask a question to one of the community groups. The majority of these came from the Facebook Office 365 community group. And so I go through and, as we all know, I cut and paste the direct text from their question over there. Half of the fun is for us trying to understand the scope of the question that's being asked. So, what do you think this means, Mike?
Well,
This is a Rorschach test, Mike. How would you interpret this?
let me just take a shot in the dark.
Okay.
You need to have AAD auditing on. Okay, so if you have AAD auditing on, if it's an AAD group, it's going to show who actually did what to what inside of AAD. If it's O365, which is also part of AAD, if you get rid of an O365 group, I do not know if those group deletions in 365 are shown in AAD. They haven't in the past, but maybe now that they are possibly more integrated with AAD, they will. But I know in the past that they've been kind of separated. The whole 365 group thing was separated from AAD. So if someone else would like to elaborate, that would be wonderful.
Well, I would, and I'm speculating here with some degree of education. Would they not show in the compliance logs? A deletion?
But would the actual person who deleted it show, or would it just show as deleted?
I would think that because usually it's the three node thing, right? It's like the action, the object, the person. So if you delete something, it shows up as this is what you deleted, and this is the person that did it.
Okay, that could be
It's a
true.
bit like, I think I don't know for sure, but I think that's an option to investigate the Office 365 compliance logs, compliance search, whatever they call it these days. I forget. Even though I work for Microsoft, I still forget. It's just one of those things.
Colonel Mustard in the library with the lead pipe.
Yep.
So if I still have the Office 365 Groups app on my mobile device, can I delete things from there?
Well, if you're logged in as an administrator, what are you laughing about?
No, I don't think it functions anymore. I think it's just there's an icon on my phone. I don't believe that
really?
app. Yeah, they removed the app. I don't think it functions at all.
He has a dead app graveyard on his phone.
Yes, I do. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it does anything, but I think you're right.
Microsoft 365 admin.
So I've not gone and checked. I saw this. I think there was some commentary, other people providing feedback that does show up within the compliance, the audit logs within Office 365. But that would be the surefire way to ensure that it happens. If it doesn't, we've seen that.
It does.
Even with my glasses, I
The
can't.
Microsoft 365 admin tool, you can go into groups and do deletes. Deletes.
Okay, there you go.
Did that look clear to anybody else?
No. Mike, when I was saying your phone, Mike, your phone doesn't show up.
Focus here.
Yeah.
Phew.
So I'm not an AAD person on Azure, nothing. But I poked around in the back end of and there's an audit log that says deleted groups in Azure AD. And when I look at all groups, I see all the ones that are tied to my teams.
Yeah, and Shari, the reason why I mentioned that earlier was because previously, there was a big disconnect when they created 365 groups. It was blind inside of AAD.
Yeah.
So they must have, changed that now, where you can actually see all that.
Yep.
Does
They're
it-
in mine anyway.
Does it, Shari? Does it show who deleted it though, or does it just show that it was deleted?
Well, it says in deleted groups, I don't have any that I've deleted. It says the titles at across the top are name, membership type, deletion date, and permanent deletion date. So does it sit in limbo for a certain amount of time, and then maybe permanently get deleted at some point? Maybe it sits for 90 days until in purgatory. I don't know. And the columns you can add are object ID and group type.
Yeah,
So
so
there's not by deleted by.
yeah.
Yeah, so we might have to actually go and do some homework to find out if it shows in either location who deleted that.
And also if you can't find it through the UI, it might be if it's something super critical, it's probably something a support case could help with. If they really needed to know which identity deleted that group, because that's definitely logged. Think about the platform that we're working on here. It's there is no, and how much that would be important from all of the compliance standpoints from Microsoft. All of the things we claim from a compliance well, just a compliance standpoint. All of those ISO standards, all of those kind of things. To not know or log who did what seems crazy to me.
Well, that's an interesting kind of a broader point too around what's being captured by the system versus what's made available to us as users. That's I had this conversation with someone about about task management and what level of granularity that they were capturing around the changes to tasks, and almost like we had having a conversation around kind of the state machine of task management. And there's a lot that's being captured across multiple systems that there's just no way to get to it even through the graph. And that's where we need to provide feedback back to Microsoft to make that kind of data visible. If it's not available through the UI, making that an option, something that you can toggle on and off or get access to, that's important. And we need to make sure that we're providing that feedback back to Microsoft.
I have a demo tenant that I used this week. If anybody wants to log in and play with it. It's good for like 90 days. You can just go in there and mess up whatever you want.
Is that through the developer?
No, Transform.
Oh, Transform. Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's jump to any other out of order questions that you guys like to handle. All right. No. We'll just start with number one
questions
at the top. Okay. Jim says, hello, I'm new here to Office 365. Can anyone explain why saving my open documents in Excel takes such a long time? If I click save, I am unable to enter any new data for up to 2 minutes. Thanks for the insight.
Through the web or through the client?
That's a great question.
That's another great question. How big are the worksheets? That's
How large is the
another
file?
great question.
Excel files can be
Waited
quite
a long
large.
time.
Yeah,
Where the
I've experienced that myself, where not about clicking save, but typically when you get to the point where you're working in Excel, you're doing work, and you've got autosave on, and it'll say saving, and it still says saving and saving and saving and saving, and you're like, it just takes time.
Do I wait? Do I bathroom
That's
break?
usually when you're running on, you're saving it on OneDrive though, Neil, right? Because doesn't autosave automatically go to OneDrive?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I've had that happen, and I just switched over to a local, and I don't have that saving anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if you look at the path is the OneDrive is it's a GUID, basically, right?
Right.
It's not just to your C:\/ whatever user OneDrive folder. It doesn't save it to your OneDrive folder and then out to OneDrive. It's actually sending it directly to OneDrive. And then your
You're going through
OneDrive
the web,
local
so-
has to sync out.
Syncs back down to local. And how
Right.
about other Office applications? Are they behaving the same way?
Jim, we need answers.
Yeah, and that's the default, right? So the default is to go through OneDrive to the web. Like you said, Mike, if you save it to save a copy or save not a copy. You don't want multiple copies.
No.
Saving to your local, the reason for saving to the web is primarily because if you save it to the web and the web save works, you can always sync it back to your machine. If you save it to your machine and your sync fails, it's gone.
Well, and that's interesting. I'd like to find out because I know that OneDrive keeps a cache. And I've run into this before because I've had problems where I've had to reinstall OneDrive because there would be, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a little cloud icon. And if you keep something, if you right click and say keep it local, it changes to a green check mark or something like that. But I've had problems where some of the files weren't syncing. They just wouldn't sync no matter what I did. So I'd have to reinstall OneDrive. And it actually has a cache that's like sitting in a file somewhere that's really obscure. And what happens is that the files actually don't go directly to the web. They get put to this cache first and then sent out to the web. So what happens is if you don't have that connection to web, it sits in this little icon that says your Office uploads are waiting. You get a little icon in your taskbar that says your what is it? Like Office Upload Manager or something. And it pops up and it says it's waiting to upload those files. Well, if you keep on writing like a PowerPoint, you keep creating something in it and you keep on saving, it just keeps, reiterating that same file, but it's still in your cache. It's not up in the cloud. So I'd really like to know, I mean, that mechanism to me seems a little backwards because what you just said is that it's going directly to the cloud, but it's really not. And if you didn't have that internet connectivity, then it's really not going to OneDrive at all. It's still
Right,
staying.
it's going local. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Netmon time.
All right, let's see. Number 2. Madden says in Microsoft 365 Basic, do we have the archivable or archive feature? Some people are saying we'll get 50 gigabytes mailbox and 50 gigabyte archive facility as well. Just want clarity.
Who's our licensing place?
I don't know that. Somebody have to look it up. I don't know. Eric's on it. Look at him. He's previously typing away. I'll find out.
Statler and Waldorf there.
I seem to recall that somebody had some homework to go and do a comparison of the basic offerings and
John.
Comparison between.
Wasn't me.
John.
Wasn't me.
John.
It was me. Yeah.
AKA Sean.
So.
Guess
Sorry.
I forgot to supply Christian with his answers.
A dog ate my book report. Sorry, guys.
He's the one that looks over on the test when you're taking tests together. He's looking over at your papers, Sean.
That would be a mistake in this case.
C. The answer's up C.
Except when it isn't.
Does anybody know the answer to this question, or are we just kind of going around it?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's there's it's something you always have to watch with Microsoft demos, especially if they're announcing new features, new products, is to understand the nuances of the licensing type. So I know we get these questions every couple weeks where people have the basic or the free version of Teams, for example, and then, well, I saw other people doing this thing. It's like, yeah, you're in the very limited, the throttled version of the application. But it's, I think to this point, it's not clear what you can and can't do with the free or basic apps compared to like an E3 or E5 license, for example.
I don't understand is that in a basic version, 50 gig, that's a lot of space for a basic. I remember it was something, the limit on an Exchange server was like 200 meg or something, and it got bumped up to 20 gig, but 50 gig?
Yeah, that's a result of the free mail wars that happened a couple years back. Kept trying to outdo each other, but yeah, we'll have to look into that to see what comes with the free offerings. But that's anybody want to take that homework?
Well, one thing that would be nice would reveal exactly what plan she's referring to with Microsoft Basic. Is it Microsoft Personal, Family, Business Basic, Business Advanced, Business whatever?
Yeah.
That would be nice to know because they all have different sets, and Microsoft Basic just really isn't running enough.
think Hal just volunteered.
I know, yeah, he did. I know business, so basic gets you a 50 gig mailbox and up to 150 megabyte attachments. But I don't, I'm doing a little bit of research now to try and see if I can see what it talks about archiving.
Yeah, archiving in particular, I don't know, I guess that just seems like a lot to me, but maybe they do that now, I don't know.
All right. Well, let's jump to number 3, or we're just spot on today.
It's Anna again. Anna from number 6.
Yeah, that's right. Anna's back with another question. Is it possible to add the administrator a password reset role for users only in the subdomain? So there's and folks, some of the wording on the questions, we've got people that Facebook actually does the translation for some of the questions, and so it's a little bit spotty on some of these. I removed that text from my list of prep questions for the team here. The fact that it may have
autocorrect on your cell phone sometimes.
Right, yeah.
And autocorrect always gets everything right.
But so thinking of wanting to give admins a password reset role on a subdomain rather than the entire domain.
As a general rule of thumb, I do not think that's possible. But
I don't think that's possible.
No, I don't think so either. Because subdomains have always been a second-class citizen whenever dealing with RBAC permissions. So I don't think that you can do anything with a subdomain from an RBAC perspective.
It's at the tenant level or at the workload level, but does not split across subdomains, DNS subdomains.
Okay. Well, that's an easy enough answer.
I think Charity's actually put in the chat, Christian, if you can look at that, about the teams question from Anna before. It actually shows the music principal that did the deletion in Teams.
Sherry's on topic.
Yeah.
She's showing us up.
It gets personal when I don't know answers.
Most of us have gotten over that a long time ago.
Yeah, we got over that. We got over that like 30 episodes ago.
We just rise above it. We're professional, Shari.
No, I totally get it, but I don't know enough about Azure Active Directory, and I want to. So I love it when I get stumped on questions because I can learn something new.
Yeah. Awesome. And Shari, you're welcome to join on camera too, so everybody can see that you're there.
What she just said sounds like an offer to accept homework.
Yeah, I know.
In my free time.
Yeah, we do have. In fact, and Mike, didn't you have homework last week?
Nope.
No,
Now you're deflecting.
My dog ate it.
Yeah.
that is not the correct answer.
All right, number 4, Sheila, on SharePoint Online, while sharing folder with external user, how can you restrict the download? Block download is available only for file and not folder.
I thought it was on the library. Is it on the SharePoint settings for the library?
I thought it was a library setting.
Mm-hmm.
But are you talking about access or restricting download? Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
Everyone who thought it was a library setting, say aye. Aye.
It says block the. I did this in my SharePoint administrator course for LinkedIn Learning. Download offline content doesn't allow you to do that. It's in the advanced settings.
Is that the advanced settings of the library, Shari? Is that somewhere else?
Here. Yeah, it's in, if you go to the library settings and then advanced. So people can't like download the Excel spreadsheet or whatever onto their machine, but I don't know about a folder. So.
Well, the other question to add to that is if you restrict the access to files within the folder and you download the folder, do those files come down or do they not?
It's a library setting, so you can't set that document by document.
Sounds like homework.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually we do that, Sherry. So if there's anything that just bugs you and you go and find an answer to or later in the week, you can always bring that back or send it back to us and we'll cover it next week if you're not able to make it.
Okay.
So
Will you put it in the chat? You like just put it in the chat history afterward?
Yeah, so in the article and the blog post and on the YouTube page, we'll reference it. In the blog post, we'll actually provide a link to the documentation, or occasionally, like Sean one time was really extra fancy and blogged about it, and then provided a link over to his blog. So
that's actually an awesome idea.
yeah, or you could discuss it next week, and we'll put it in the list of again the topics covered with the link there. So. All right. And again, for anybody that's watching the live stream, so we've got folks watching in a couple locations, feel free to ask any questions that you'd like us to attempt to answer. You can also email us at officehours@collabtalk.com. And let's see, number 5. Joseph, please any PowerShell or GUI to enable OneDrive for Business versioning history for all users in a tenant.
Asked and
I
answered.
answered that one. I dropped that.
Wait a minute.
Chat.
You can't preempt me, Sean. I already had that up in the chat. I already answered it.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh.
You can't preempt me on that. No way.
Listen, I don't recall hearing you say you wanted to take that one before.
Ooh.
I'm just going in order.
All right. Now it's a battle of who can get the links in the chat first.
Looks like we got the
Is that
process
and Hal? You've got 2 different links. Is that for the same question?
Yeah, that's for the storage thing. It looks like you get 50 and 50.
50-50.
50 gigs. 50 gigs to put it in and 50 gigs to archive it.
Nice. Okay, and
The first one that I posted is actually an Exchange storage and it indicates that they're at 100 gigabytes, but that's the Exchange have. What the Exchange will do, this second page appears to be what the actual business subscription will do.
excellent. All right. All right. So yeah. Besides the anything you want to say on that, Sean? Besides posting a link?
It's pretty much just a switch you flip, turning on the document library that backs the OneDrive Business Store.
All right.
Folks, I gotta drop for about 10 minutes. I'll be
All right.
back.
All right. See you in a bit. All right. Number 7. Sherilyn asks, we've not had a Cortana question in a while. So is there a way to alter the date of the Cortana daily briefing email so I'm notified of things upcoming as well as not just historical? That was actually, I seem to recall, the fancy videos that Microsoft does, kind of meetings of the future, and so it's a kind of a blend of existing technology and based on some of what's going on in R&D, what they're looking at, kind of future. I've shared this before, but when I started at Microsoft back in 2006, the video that they showed, if you guys remember the video, the guy waking up and has just this piece of glass, and suddenly it shows up this complex interface as he's walking into the bathroom. He flicks the video to the mirror as he's brushing his teeth, and he's got that going on, and over to the wall as well. He's touching the wall. It kind of lights up and he walks by, and he then gets in his car and flicks his phone over to the car, and his stuff going on. And my running joke was all in the future, you need to invest in Windex because there's a lot of glass with fingerprints everywhere.
You're sure this wasn't just a dream you had, huh?
Minority Report
Yeah.
Right.
But what's interesting about that video is just how much of that has come to pass of the various things that they showed in that. And It's just really kind of amazing to look at, and it wasn't that many years till we started seeing some of what was in that very forward-looking, futuristic video. But with Cortana, being able to, change I guess the first thing is, can you edit the scope of what you see within the daily briefing emails? Like, it's not an area that I've played with at all.
I've never tried either.
There is. Let's see if that opens.
I'm still waiting for the video where they that projected off of your phone and it gave you the directions to the airport.
Yeah.
That was a cool video.
Well, that's why I was excited about the Google Glass hashtag glass holes. I was excited about that was because of the mixed reality potential for that. Think about that if you have a bunch of coupons or you have a list of things that you want to purchase and you're walking through the mall and it's directing, hey, based on the coupon you have, this store has another sale that combines, you can get it for this, or even has the directions as you're walking through the mall to get to the store that you're trying to find. Just a bunch of really cool, VR, MR capabilities. I do have a link here for the Cortana stuff.
Understand from the Cortana briefing email, I mean, it shows you, the briefing email shows you upcoming meetings. It shows you how to, some of the things to plan your week because it sees your calendar. I'm not understanding what they're asking for. They want to be notified of things upcoming as well as not just historical. What it is telling you that. What else is it supposed to be telling you? I mean, that's all it looks at. Is it looks at your calendar and
Right.
looks at your tasks.
I wanted Mike to tell me what's important and why it's important, and tell me what I need to be prepared for, and tell me that there could be some gotchas, and that Mike is going to be in that meeting, and he's compiling notes that are up in the cloud that are going to be gotcha, and you need to be prepared for him because you can't let this jerk, get it done.
I wonder if they're wanting, like, Planner lets you know you have things coming up. I think maybe she wants a little bit more in advance instead of this is what you have today. Was that the understanding of the question?
But the briefing also shows you a week. So it's telling you how to plan your week, but it doesn't go beyond that. I mean, do they want to see it for a month? Is that what? So they're saying to adjust the date. So like I'm getting the Cortana briefing for next Monday to show me the next Monday and forward instead of just this week.
Oh, so I only get today. You have was this a task? That's the questions I get.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not.
So in the first link that I shared, so it says it has the outline of what's in the briefing email. So it's the prepare for today's meetings, tasks you need to follow up on, book focus time, catch up with your team, and then plan for your week.
Right, and it only looks at a week. It only looks at your work week, right? Well, I shouldn't say that. It does look at the weekends as well. But if what I'm understanding is, maybe today is the 26th, right? So they want to go and they say, okay, I want to adjust the date on the email to be November 2nd. So that means it would give them that week, a week ahead. You see what I'm saying? Or they want to expand Cortana to be able to say, show me my upcoming month rather than just my upcoming week. I don't know. I no clue if that's possible or even something that's considered.
Yeah, I'm not.
Sounds like something for user voice.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if I don't see any way to change the date range.
I don't think you can because it's automatically generated. It's not something that you manually generate.
Right.
It's generated off a workflow. So.
Right, but it's set somewhere to look at, the upcoming week. Is that a rolling?
It's a scheduled task in a automated workflow. That's all it is. So it says every X day on this time, execute the Cortana email briefing.
Right.
And it sends it out to the users that are assigned to receive the briefing. You know, it's not like, you know, I don't even know if you can alter that task because it's a managed task. It's part of 365.
It's a service rather than yeah. So yeah, I don't see anything. I mean, look, it'd be nice to be able to go in and to be able to alter some parameters and put it for like a 2-week period, so I get what's coming up this week and what's happening the week after that. Having said that, you have a whole week to be looking into next week on your own in Outlook.
Well, and the question I have for like Sean, is Cortana part of reading off of SharePoint? Or is Cortana for that briefing email just reading off of Outlook information or Exchange information, which is the email, the calendar, and the tasks?
I don't know.
And that's, I don't know what the scope is either. I don't know if you can expand that scope for Cortana, or if it's, because Cortana is supposed to be able to manage anything you want it to manage. You know, it should be able to start your car for you if you want to. But I don't know. I'm not.
Now, when it can steal a car for me.
Yeah.
Well, who has time for that anymore, Sean? I mean, we're not teenagers. I know. Yeah. All right. Well, before we jump to number 8, Sean, are you wearing any new T-shirt today? Is it kind of a classic?
Don't get up any further. It's No Pants Monday.
Lost Sean, you. Hang on. Let me switch over to gallery mode so we can see your shirt. There we go.
Yeah. Don't stand up anymore. We don't want to, No
Don't worry, Mike. I'm not going to show you my job.
Easy there, Tubin. Just relax.
So this is probably funnier to the chemistry folks. Concentration of 4 moles per liter.
Yeah, I got that.
Well, we're going with animal prints today, so.
Stab rabbit.
Yeah.
I'm going with a sweatshirt because it's like it snowed last night.
Yeah, it snowed here yesterday.
It's like freezing outside.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's supposed to be back up to 60 degrees, 65 degrees later by the end of this week, but it snowed yesterday enough that the neighbor kids built a snowman.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. No, they were out rolling it. It was on the grass. It was still about this deep on the grass. It melted off on the sideways pretty quick, sidewalks, but they rolled it up and created a full-size snowman. So
that's impressive.
It's more than
we got
dusting.
4 inches, but it put the fire out in Fort Collins, so we're happy.
Oh, that's right. I didn't realize that was as big of a fire. It was.
Oh, it's massive.
Yeah.
I guess they're watching the steam come off the mountains right now at the front. It just because the snow just snuffed it out. We're
so
like,
that was all
Is it
north
taking care
of
of that
Denver.
stuff down around Boulder too?
Yeah, that
Good,
Estes
good,
Park
good,
and all of
good.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, I just saw that on the news. I didn't realize because we're not hearing about it in California. None of us are in California to know what's happening. But I suspect it's all just burned down in California. But then I saw that. I didn't realize how big that was.
My husband was supposed to deploy Saturday, and they put him on hold pending the snow. So yeah, he's not going.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me jump back into together mode. And question number 8. Suravali asks, I'm unable to open my SharePoint Online site in SharePoint Designer 2013.
That's a blessing in disguise.
Sean's favorite.
So judgmental. Wow.
I said it's a blessing.
I know. It is giving below authentication error while trying to open the site. Your account is in a bad state. Please sign into this account online to address the issue.
Something has occurred.
It almost sounds like one of those fabricated error message.
It does.
Site is working fine in browser, and I'm able to access it via browser. I am site owner. Please suggest some solutions.
No,
there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, Bluetooth decided to, at least the system crash. But this is an 8-out problem. SharePoint Designer was never adapted to work with Active Directory Authentication Library. And so there is a fix for this if you want to try it, but I will warn you that involves hacking the registry a bit, and it's not a very short fix. So if you really want to get in there with SharePoint Destroyer, you might end up destroying your own system where you get there.
Sounds exciting. And then call Microsoft support after that.
Yeah. Hey,
Right,
yeah.
so just to be clear, if you're listening to this from audio only, that was Sean McDonough who said you should go and do that.
I provided a link that Sean has provided. Sean McDonough, SP McDonough on Twitter.
I hate you all. Except
Hey,
Shari
and
hasn't done anything.
speaking of really bad error messages, okay, I'm waiting for the really hip crowd, okay, much younger than
What are you talking about? This is us, Mike. Come
Okay.
on. You know.
that comes out with the error message for their app that comes back and says your account is in a bad state, kind of like the whole dumpster fire that 2020 has been. You know, something that just makes fun of it. That would just
All your base are belong to us.
yeah.
I just want a no text. I want an error message that just comes back with a little animated GIF of an actual dumpster on fire. Be like,
Yeah, that's 2020.
It gave me an idea for a 404 message for a web page.
I'll see if Steve can take a video of one of his that he's had recently. And we'll save it as a GIF.
Yeah.
all right, let's see. Number 9, Angela asks, hello, everyone. I have a problem. During the day when I had to schedule a Teams meeting, I went on the calendar, and after setting the date and time, I selected the channel to call. Now I'm no longer can select any channel. I tried both from the application and from the web. Who can help me?
Is it a private channel?
He doesn't say.
Yeah, you can't add a private channel to a Teams meeting or at all. You can't add a Teams meeting to a private channel. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would be the obvious. Oh, I just noticed that. There we go. Another.
Be
Oh, that
careful
one-
what you wish.
That one.
Be careful what you wish for, Christian.
See that's great, and it's actually floating down.
Yeah. That's the swamp. It's floating down the swamp, the dumpster on fire.
That's just what it looks like here in Canada. That's what every road looks like.
So I have to say, quick story though, but related to Eric, your gift there. So my sophomore year in college, I had this industrial foam. I was an industrial design major, and we would carve shapes and things out of this foam. It was about 2.5 feet wide, about 6 inches deep, an 8-foot long plank of
you're
this
saying you
foam.
played with toys.
So it was this foam. Well, we had also, my roommate and I had purchased a toilet at the thrift store, and we had a toilet in our room. We had a palm tree in it at one point. We had goldfish in it at another point. We used the toilet as an incense burner at one point. Anyway, we had this idea. In the middle of winter, there's snow everywhere. We set this plank of foam down in the Provo River. I went to Brigham Young University, put the toilet on top of it, threw some things in the bowl, porcelain bowl, set it on fire. What I didn't realize is that the toilet seat and cover, and it's like a particle board wrapped in plastic. Just how flammable that is. The flames were 10, 12 feet high in the air, and we sent it down the river, flames going. And what a visual this was of the winter night evening. And as we were, we were singing some patriotic song or something as it's floating down. As it's getting with the flames coming up, as it's about to go under this bridge, this major road over it, a cop car drives over, slams on his brakes, hits the lights, peels out to come around to where we were, and we of course ran. But Yeah,
I'd ask
You
for
just outed yourself on one of their most mysterious cases, unsolved cases.
yeah. If there was a
gonna
cop
say.
that was working that back in 1988, 87, 88, please give me a call. Yes, on that unsolved mystery. I have pictures. I'm going to try and find it, and I will send it to everybody later.
I was going to ask for pictures, but I don't think that film had been invented yet, had it?
It was the old school camera. Yeah, it was.
Pixar, it didn't happen. Yeah.
I have the picture in a picture book. I will snap a photo of the picture and send it to everybody. Yeah. All right.
BYU, huh?
Yeah, it was. It
That,
got
that explains a lot.
a lot of boredom in the middle of winter in Provo, Utah. Yes.
Well, and you just inspired a bunch of people at college age to,
Yeah.
their senior break.
Set toilets on fire.
Well, let's see them go try and find that piece of foam. That was like $1,000 of foam that we had obtained for free.
Commandeered.
No, somebody donated a bunch of it, and it was just extra. So, I mean, who needs an 8-foot slab of foam? Anywho, all right. So I guess that's the answer to Angela's question. Sorry, sparked the memory out of me as the talking about the dumpster fire. But yeah, it sounds like her question has to do with a private channel in that scenario. So, Angela, if you're running into this where you're having to schedule a Teams meeting, went to the calendar, and after setting the date and time, the selected channel to call, now no longer can select any channel. Tried both from the application and from the web. The question is whether it was private or public channel. Any other times anybody else experienced that where they've scheduled that? Where they see that option disappearing? So I'm sitting here looking in Teams.
Where's your cricket sound?
Oh yeah, that's right. I do have my soundboard here that you guys won't be able to hear, but
Comes across on the recording.
Silence is deafening. I've got to hop to a client meeting, guys. Have a good.
Hey, thanks, Eric. We'll talk to you soon.
Enjoy the rest of the questions. See you next week.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks. All right.
All right. Well, let's jump over to question number 10. Samantha asks, does anyone know how to grant permission to file links so that people do not have to request access within Teams?
No, because I assume we're talking external to your organization, and the act of sharing it is what makes that possible. There aren't just open links to everything in Teams waiting to be handed out.
Yeah, you can always go and add people as you know that they're going to need access to them, give them permissions, or send them a link to the location if they don't have permissions and they request the link. So working as designed.
Yeah. The other way around would be security through obscurity, which doesn't fly with many organizations. Yeah, exactly. Right. Doesn't fly with many organizations.
Well, I mean, the other workaround, it's not really a workaround for that, but if it's something that you need to make available to a broader audience and just want to share as a link and security's not an issue, then get it out of SharePoint, put it in OneDrive, and send a link so that anybody who has the link can view it.
But what if you're sharing from Teams? Is this question about Teams? I'm sorry, it doesn't. Within Teams. So within Teams, if you click on the Files tab, you can do a share right from there, right? Of any files that are in that tab. So you should be able to copy those links.
But the issue is that what I think they want here is, the thought is that there are links to everything in the location, and they just want to be able to get those links and hand them out without realizing that the act of exposing them for sharing or generating the links as part of the sharing process is how those links get wired up to send.
Okay, I get you. Now let me ask this question then, Sean. The files are actually linked back to SharePoint list, right? There's a SharePoint list for those files. So you should be able to provide a link directly to that SharePoint list, right?
You could, but when somebody goes to it, they're going to have to authenticate.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I get that. Okay. But an external user, that would be an exception. But if it was an internal user, then.
Yeah, so we don't know if the user is internal to the organization or
Sure.
external. I'm making the assumption they're external.
Yeah, I got you.
But yes, your point makes sense and is valid.
And then there could also be item level permissions, and it's not going to solve that problem. So if the owner of that could be in that list, and somebody could go in and set it at the item level, which will kind of break that. But all right, number 11, Marilee asks, is there an option to set a recurring meeting on auto record in Teams?
Not that I know
That'd be
of.
interesting.
No, we've complained about that in the
And
past.
then there's
Where
this related question by a Christian Buckley, number 13.
Yes.
no, we'll come back to that one. So the so it's intentionally that it's there's no. I don't believe in Teams there is an auto record, so you just have that as a setting that turn on. You have to hit record.
I
Half the time there
think
isn't
that's
even the ability to hit that record.
isn't that a regulatory thing? Like people have to know they're being recorded.
Well,
So it's like the recording has been turned on. You have to, acknowledge that you're recording.
well, and let me ask you a question then, because I mean, when you're in Teams, you get this banner across the thing, right? It says your team.
It says someone's recording.
Right.
Whereas like Zoom, you can set every meeting you have to auto record. It's a
Right.
checkbox at the admin for the meeting.
Yep.
But what it does is when you join the meeting, that sound comes up right away and says this meeting is being recorded.
Right.
So it's an automatic thing where when every person joins, they get told that the meeting's being recorded.
Right. So-
in Teams, though, you only get told that once when
When it starts recording.
Starts. Right.
Yeah. Not as people join. If you joined
Right.
after it record, you don't get that. All right.
Yeah.
Or you could fire up Snag and their Camtasia on the sly and just record everything without anybody knowing.
That's true. Yeah.
Not according to GDPR.
Yeah, I don't like that guy.
Yeah. So no, that's not something Marilee you can do within Teams. We've all had that. It's been kind of a running joke here, but I'm no longer recording this on Teams because of the live streaming that would just capture straight to YouTube and cut out the middleman. But that where I had started a recording, just so I wouldn't forget, hit pause until people joined, and then forgot to unpause the recording. Or forgot to hit the record button until we're 5 minutes in. Dope. And restart that. It would be great to have that auto record, because for Zoom, which I use for webinars and other interviews, one-on-one interviews, because of the better video quality output, I have the auto record option on. All right. So number 12, Leslie asked, does anyone know why I can't create a tab of my list in a team? Everyone in the team has permission to edit the list. Why I can't create a tab of my list in a team?
Do they have Microsoft Lists now? Because that's what it does. It exposes the SharePoint list onto a tab. That's why I always thought it was funny when they're like, Microsoft Lists. I'm like, yeah, I've been there in SharePoint for 20 years, people. We just couldn't expose it on the tab yet, unless you used a web browser. But that wasn't pretty.
I think it's finished deploying. Isn't it? Is it? I thought they wrapped it up. Yeah, though I think they said by the end of September it would be fully deployed in all tenants.
But did the organization, allow
Enable
the
it.
updates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be the answer right there. Did they? Is it all in place? Is there anything that the admins have not allowed? Is there a toggle they need to flip for that feature to be fully supported. So I think even before, like you could find out if it was.
But I'm actually looking at this in Teams, and if you go to add, Microsoft List shows up as an option to add to Teams.
Yep.
So it's there.
So if that's so Mike, if that has not been added as an option by the admin, is there something an admin can do to restrict that from being available to the users? Is there something you need to enable, or is it just there? Because I know that prior to it being fully deployed, there was a way that you could just go into the browser and type in, the URL for the List app, and you could find it, even though it wasn't fully within your tenant yet. But I don't know if there's any other admin control that would restrict that usage.
Because I'm in the Teams admin center right now. I don't see anything that says unless it's app restriction. App restriction.
So is this a case of have you tried turning it off and on again, just to make sure you've got the latest version of that?
I think Mike has to uninstall Teams entirely, reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I go in there and I'm just checking this out here. Again, I am not Sean's the SharePoint, person, and maybe Shari is too. I don't know that. Yeah, the only thing you do is set allowed or not allowed.
Yeah.
So I guess you could turn off List, but everything by default, when you go through Teams admin, all these apps are allowed by default. Yeah, there's the List and it's allowed. Yeah, and I didn't turn anything on. I never mess with that, so it's by default it's turned on and allowed.
Yeah, I'm aware of. So if you have the ability to create tabs, that'd be the first question, because some users, if you're an external user, if you're in, sometimes in a team, the team admin can restrict what people can do. But if you can create other types of tabs, just not this one, so that'd be the first test. And second, do you see the List app as an option when you create a tab? If that is the answer is also yes.
Then it comes down to number 3, and it'd be permissions on the List itself.
Yep. And if everyone in the team has permission to edit the list, and so you're saying yes on all 3, everybody has that permissions to it, but you're still not able to add it. What are we saying? Support call?
Send an email. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear what this Buckley dude has to say.
So, one of our very passionate listeners, Christian, asks...
Definitely passive.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
That's right. So I posted this out there, and I just, when I had talked about this a couple of weeks back, and everybody, I won't say who, but the people, some of whom are sitting in this meeting, were just like, sounds like a personal problem, Christian. But so quite a few people that were running into this issue. So, hey, it's always good to hear that it's not just a problem, especially with an intermittent issue. But let me read the question. It says, why is it that the record button sometimes does not show up in my Teams meetings that I create and host? I'm noticing about half the time that the button is missing from the menu, not grayed out, but missing entirely. I am not switching tenants nor doing anything within a guest account. 2 meetings, both created in Outlook, one of which does not have a record button, so I have to cancel, send a new invite. Anyone else experiencing this? And what I found out, and yes, so I am the mystery poster of the question, but I posted this out to Facebook, had quite a few people that are like, yep, we're experiencing the same thing. What I noticed is that if I logged out of that meeting and logged back in, sometimes it took once or twice, but the record button would show up. In fact, I was doing a test, so I created 2 meetings at the same time because I thought I had found a pattern that if I create in Outlook, I create a meeting, and so an appointment, and then add Teams as a location with the Teams add-in button, that would react differently than if I go into Outlook into my calendar view and hit the button create a Teams meeting. So it creates and pre-populates a calendar appointment with that. That second option where I was saying create a Teams appointment, that's where it was disappearing. But what I found is that I thought I had found that a difference between the two, not the case. It was randomly happening half the time, regardless of how I started doing that. And so what the discussion kind of led to were people were saying, restart the meeting once or twice and it should show up. Never got an answer to that. I have not experienced it in about a week and a half. So the other theory was that there was just something weird happening with updates that was causing this unintended error.
Transient churn.
We were having the same issue with chat at one point. Like the chat option was not available, even though I was the owner of the meeting. And I found out that's when they were releasing the pop-out chat feature. They were developing that. So I would probably lean toward what you just said, just because they're releasing stuff, and you're probably on first release cycle, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It depends on, yeah. I've had record buttons there, record buttons not there. I've had gallery there, I've had gallery not there.
Yeah.
Large gallery right now is there, but it is grayed out.
Yep.
So.
Well, the one episode we did, guys, where we were the Three Stooges without Christian.
Yeah.
If we could have had that recorded at the beginning, people would have had all the therapy and group support they needed at that point.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
But that's,
now, I have to ask.
Yeah.
I have to ask one question on the poster. Did you reboot? Sorry.
Yeah. So I didn't reboot the whole system, but with Teams. But it's just weird. Like I was running a test, and I can't remember who was on with me, so I restarted the meeting, rejoined, and then the record button was in the menu but grayed out. Rebooted Teams again, restarted Teams again, and then and it was fully there. And I said, just for fun, let's see what happens. And restarted it, even though it was working, restarted it again, completely missing from the menu the third time. So
the problem with Sean, I mean, when you were on your way to Branson and we were running that show, I mean, Sean, he must have restarted Teams like half a dozen times.
Yeah.
And we just could not get that thing to go. I mean, it just
Yeah,
it was crazy. And he even created his own. He even created his own meeting in his own tenant.
Yeah.
And he still couldn't get it to go.
I think when we did the on-demand Meet Now thing, and I sent that link to you guys, that's what actually had it show up for us.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Which is how I was getting around this problem as well. But I think it's somebody just made the point. Apologize. So can't remember who just said it, but that the first the first tenant, if you're part of the dog fooding of the technology, you're on that first ring of releases. We've basically signed ourselves up to be victims for the changes. Yeah. And sometimes I forget about that. So.
You get all the features.
That's right.
Right.
I always famously said that there was a huge initiative when I was an employee at Microsoft to make sure everybody was dog fooding, and I had a customer facing role, and it just screwed up so many of my meetings, and I just refused to dog food and stayed on an old secure working version. And I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't deal with these interruptions. When you're on phone calls. At the time, I had eBay and Amazon and a bunch of other massive customers of Microsoft services that I was dealing with on a weekly basis, and had some embarrassing meetings that I was leading where I couldn't dial in to and stay in a meeting because of a lot of these changes. I just said we're first ring is not as bad as the dog fooding the internal rings. All right, how are we doing on time? So we still got 24 minutes. Okay, number 14, David. With the new Teams meeting experience, I'm not seeing Teams under Browse for PowerPoint. I'm aware that they are constantly changing the file sharing experience. It seems the only way to do it is to open SharePoint, then sync to OneDrive, and always use upload from computer and select the location. But by this method, we'll have to sync for most of our users that use primarily Teams at our office. Does any of that make sense to anybody?
It does, because I think what they're doing is, and I just validated this, is that when you go into PowerPoint and you can add connected services, right? So if you do a browse, you can bring up those connected services, which could be OneDrive, or they could be SharePoint sites, or they could be some kind of storage somewhere. But the only option you have then is when you open up a PowerPoint is to browse to either OneDrive or a SharePoint site.
Right.
You don't have a Teams option. There's no Teams there to browse to.
I guess that's what I was confused of, because that's the way that I understood it to work. Like you go and you can find those SharePoint teams. I mean, the various locations that were created as part of your Microsoft Teams and in the Office 365 groups, but you're not going to see something under Teams and then each of your team names.
Correct. I mean, when I browse, I can see my SharePoint site. I can double click on it and it brings up subsites and it brings up, the lists, but it doesn't show Teams. I mean, that's not visible. So I don't know if there's any integration there. Maybe they're supposed to be, but I don't see any.
Yeah, that could be very confusing for folks that don't understand that, like, all of that storage within Teams is SharePoint. Maybe that's part of the confusion.
Yeah.
Christian, can you read that question again?
Yes.
I think I missed something I might help.
So with the new Teams meeting experience, so I think it's not about the meeting experience. Like not seeing Teams under Browse for PowerPoint. So in PowerPoint, using Browse, not seeing Teams. I'm aware that they're constantly changing the file sharing experience. It seems the only way to open is in SharePoint. So they're in PowerPoint. They're looking for a PowerPoint that is saved within a Teams workspace, and they see the SharePoint options. So they open it in SharePoint, then sync to OneDrive, and then they always use upload from computer and select the location.
Yeah, they've it's OneDrive sync, but they're syncing the SharePoint library.
Right.
Right. So then you just have to understand that it's using the OneDrive sync client. There we go. To share your offline content from SharePoint, and that's one way of putting your content there. But you can move it to your shared locations, which is in OneDrive as well. If they're working in OneDrive and they need to move it there. Right. The shared locations are SharePoint.
But it's a point that, I don't see a way, and maybe Sean or someone else can see the ability to see an actual Teams location there. I don't see one. So when you do the browse, I can go into SharePoint site, I can go into OneDrive, and I don't see a Teams location or a team name.
Yeah, they're in SharePoint, or it's called shared locations is what it's called.
Correct. I'm just saying,
okay.
Maybe they're.
But it doesn't say Teams locations, maybe?
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting at, is maybe there's a terminology difference. They're actually looking for something that says Teams, that they would know to go to. I don't know.
It's an epiphany for most people. I've been teaching and doing a lot of white glove sessions. I said, when people ask me, what should I put in OneDrive, what should I put in SharePoint, and what should I put in Teams? I'm like, well, let's just demystify. Nothing actually lives in Teams. Teams is the collaboration space where we bring all these other tools together. The only files in Office 365, the only file storage is OneDrive and SharePoint, period. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you go to browse and if you were supplied a URL that you have access to instead of a file specification. I know in some tools that works, but I don't know about PowerPoint.
Yeah. It'll say you're off your, what's the terminology? I don't know.
So if you do add a place, you just get OneDrive for Business. But if you go to browse, it's looking for a file name, but I know that you can use the URL path in some cases, like with SharePoint Designer.
Right. Well, if you do file save as, it gives you your SharePoint sites and for each of your logged in tenants. And then when you browse there, you should be able to see your recent sites. Here's my little hack. I always go into the main one and then it'll let me drill down into my subsites. But
Yeah, for each of the accounts added to the Office suite.
yeah,
That you're logged in with.
but that's just because I know how it's structured. If somebody else didn't know that, I can understand why that's confusing.
I'll bet you could hack it in, but
All my important stuff I sync to and use selective sync for my offline content, and that usually gives me at least my path to get to certain places.
Yeah, sorry, just what just happened there? Just in the live stream, everything just closed down. Hang on, let me jump back over. There we go. Had to refresh the stream. It just went black there for a second. So weird.
you had a living death experience, huh?
Yes. So one thing is that so you can go in so rather than just into the browse and you should be able to see, so again we're talking about PowerPoint. I'm not going to go and try and open it again and have the rest of my screens all shut down for some reason. So you should be able to see from the default options to go and open into SharePoint. If you click on that SharePoint link, you'll then see all of those libraries that are associated with each of those teams and those Office 365 groups. So that's going to be your straightest path to find that content. It's not listed as teams. Maybe that's something that they'll change as part of that navigation and make it more obvious.
That would make sense, because if they want everybody to be focused on Teams now, it would just make sense to expose that in all the Office apps.
Right. Just from a navigation standpoint. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
most end users don't need to be architects. They don't need to understand what's behind the curtain.
Yeah.
They just need to know how to use it, right?
Exactly.
So I just dropped a link. Oh, there we go. If you were to go to browse and you have the link, if you have the SharePoint link to the site, for instance, and you drop that in the file name, it will then attempt to go retrieve it from SharePoint. I get a prompt for login, and now I'm in one of my SharePoint sites, and I can drill down and get a PowerPoint that way. So that file name should really be resource location or file name, if you follow what I'm saying. I'll take a screenshot.
All right. Well, let's got a couple more Teams questions here. Number 15, Rob asks, so he's conducting interviews on Teams. Is there a way to organize the placing of interview participants on screen, for example, so that the interviewers are in one grouping and the interviewees in another? just been part of an online pitch for a project where all 8 participants, 4 from each side, plus another 2 listening in, were randomly placed all over the screen. I suspect in order of joining the team, and for various reasons I found it quite an odd experience.
You cannot.
Yeah, the one
I don't
thing
answer.
that is coming, and the reason that I included the question here is that there is the the feature that is arriving is the templates? There's templates, but there's also the ability to go and kind of orchestrate the view to design the layout, highlight
Right.
certain people.
Right. So
But you can't pick who's Marcia, who's Greg, who's Bobby,
no.
Alice, those things.
Right. And basically what they're doing is they're expanding on the pinning capability.
Yeah.
So you have the ability to pin multiple people rather than just one person.
Yeah.
But
Nope.
that's each individual has to do that, right? For
Correct.
themselves. It's just
Correct.
not something that
So,
Right.
yeah, personal experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So it's there's and I know that there was somebody was responding saying, hey, well, if you're as far as a recording or if you're broadcasting something, neither of which apply to an interview scenario, you could use something like OBS to design the layout of the screen. But if you're just in a meeting and you're trying to put, well, the 4 of us that are a panel of interviewers and the people that are being interviewed, that scenario doesn't work. You're not broadcasting that or recording that somewhere where it's going to be relevant. You want it in that live experience. And
Right.
I'm not aware of any of the webcasting, webinar, meeting technologies that allow you to do that.
I am not either. And I will say this is what I've done is recording wise is I've actually recorded it was a Zoom meeting. I recorded a Zoom meeting and placed the people where I wanted to, but I then recorded it in Camtasia, right? So I was and using system sound, I was able to record system sound and record myself. And that way I got the recording with all the people where I wanted them. The only problem is that, and just as a side note, when you do that, when you record something that is actually streaming, my voice was behind, my audio was behind the image. So I'd start talking and then my audio would pick up. Everybody else's audio was on key, but my audio was off. So it was like, messing with that whole timing aspect between audio and video. It really screws things up.
Yeah, I'd say that, Christian, your suggestion is the OBS one is beyond the realm of possibility for most HR type people.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
There's a lot of setup, and it's again, if you're trying to capture a recording of that interview for posterity to go look at it, certainly that's something that you can go and do. I don't think I think that is beyond what this person is asking to do. They want it as part of that live experience, and the answer is no, you cannot do that.
That would be like taking that auditorium viewer together mode, right? And being able to place people in specific seats.
Right.
Which you can't do that.
Yeah.
At least not real time.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yep.
You can go in after the fact, but
Yeah. So I mean, the one other thing you can do around that is you could have, since you don't have control over where they are on the screen, but you can still have people sign in as part of their profile their name for the lower third. You can have them put in interviewer - their name, just so at least you can keep it straight on the screen. So maybe that's
They would be grouped together, yep.
best practice for.
But you're always the interviewer. The person who's hosting the meeting is always going to be the primary image. It's always going to be in front of everything else, no matter.
As
what
it should be.
Well,
I don't know. Sean's really big on my screen. The rest of y'all little. Sean, you're front and center for me. Is
What are you talking about, Sherry?
Who's the host here?
Yeah.
Good morning, Kristen.
Yeah. I just sit like this in front of my camera.
That's a little too close. We can see your pores. Back up.
I just Yeah.
Seriously.
Sitting right behind Mike. I'm right behind your head in the view.
Oh, brother.
Christian's got a cavity. That makes sense. Okay.
All right. Okay, so next question, 16. Peter asks, why can't I see the breakout rooms option in my toolbar? It's not, is it deploying yet, the breakout rooms?
In Zoom, I don't think it's done in Teams.
Yeah, no, it's
Zoom it.
It's not here yet, right? Yeah, Mike, this is a Office 365 discussion.
It is for me.
Yeah, and Neil as an employee has it.
That.
Hey, you know what? I use what's best for the client. I use what's best for the customers.
But it's the breakout rooms capability, for those that don't know what it is, it's the ability, so you've got a meeting with 20 people in it, you have the ability to create these separate spaces, and you can split up 10 and 10 to go and have a discussion and then come back together to the all 20 in that main meeting. I don't know if it started rolling out. I believe it's coming Q4, so if it's not currently deploying, that we should see it fairly soon. I think they said this year.
Yeah, it says that it's final quarter of 2020. Another one that I see says October, so they have 5 days.
Okay.
We're going to get it done.
Yep.
What does FOMO mean?
Fear of missing out.
That's new to me.
Your fear of missing out on breakout rooms? If that's what your fear of missing out is breakout rooms? Really?
Yeah.
Now, Matt.
Now, Mike, we don't judge here.
Oh, no.
Yes, we do. What are you talking about, Sean? I judge you for saying that.
And I'm well aware of this.
Matt Wade did do a blog post on it. It's on his YouTube channel.
Does it say that it's out yet, or does he have access? Is it on a first ring or early ring?
I think he is. So he's got the video. I'm assuming he's got some kind of access. Unless
it's available on a demo environment somewhere.
Is that okay to post it here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll grab the link. I'll include it. We're friends of Matt.
I'm the rookie. So I just want to make sure I'm following protocol.
Hey, Sherry, we're all rookies.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Neil.
Sherry, if it's already...
Neil, you did that screenshot, but in the live stream, I've got the together mode, so that's where it looked like I was, salivating. I was gonna gnaw on Mike's noggin there.
Yeah, Cherry, I'd say anything. If it's already public domain, it's already open to post. I mean, you know what I mean?
I figure if Matt is blogging about it, then it's okay because he's following the rules.
Yep. So. As far as we know, we don't have to report Matt. No, it's so that's something. If you don't yet have it on your environment, then because it's not yet, I've not looked for it, but I don't believe it's in. Let me see. Is there something else? Where would it be? Meeting notes, meeting options. Yep. So I mean, I don't see it yet in my options. So, yeah, I have. I don't have FOMO, but I am interested in seeing it. All right, let's jump to. Let's see if we can get through the rest of the list here. Jin says, "Hello all. Does anyone know the status of Outlook sharing to Teams feature? The roadmap shows it is launched, but we still do not have it." So from Outlook, be able to share to Teams.
So I'm looking for that feature in the roadmap, and
so there's this is not the ability to email a team to a channel or a discussion. This is actually a share to Teams button, which will then move the thread, the email, over to a discussion. You have an update,
okay.
Sean?
Yeah, Outlook for Windows share to Teams. I have that as in development and coming December calendar year 2020.
Yeah, so it's...
So I'll drop that in the...
Yeah, thanks. That
should go to the page. but there are 6 pages of search results, and that's on the last page of the results, about halfway down.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I didn't think it was yet out there. So
Still cooking, Jin.
Yep. All right. Let's jump to number 18. Susan, I would appreciate help with the problem I'm having with page numbers in Word. In my 81-page document, I get page numbers through page 59, where headers and footers are shown as section 1. Page 60 has no page number and shows the header and footer as section 3. I don't know why the section numbers changed. Then it continues with no pages numbered as page 74, when headers and footers change to section 5. So at the top of, and I'm going to open this up so I can make sure I've got the latest version and all this. So that
you want the outline view, right?
You want the outline view. If you go into a document and up at the top, there's the little paragraph to show, hide all of the paragraph marks and other hidden formatting symbols. Turn that on, because what's happening is that you've got the section breaks, and you can then go in and set up different rules for each of those section breaks. If you don't want those section breaks there, if there's just a blank page or multiple section breaks on a page that are jumping too far ahead, you can go click into that, hit the backward button, and so basically delete those section breaks. But when you create a new section, you're creating a longer document. You have the ability to remain with the previous numbering and or completely break away from the formatting of the other sections. So which is the case. So you can make it continuous or just remove those section breaks. It sounds like she had section breaks that she didn't want.
Yeah.
The other issue is the page number format too. If you right click on the page number, it should have a little gray highlight around it if it's not a manual page number, and format page numbers, and you have to tell it to continue from previous sections sometimes, or have it start at a specific number.
Right.
I had that actually yesterday working on a proposal. So.
Yeah, so you can have different formatting, do different styles, do all that to the different sections. So it really allows you to kind of get creative with your design with the layout here. Let's see if we can squeeze in one last question. Ramesh says, anybody here holds Microsoft 365 Dev Tenant free license and able to extend that free license? I'm not a developer, but working more on developing Power Apps and Power Automate. Will that be enough for Microsoft to extend my 3-month trial period of a Dev Tenant? Please guide if you're so basically has a demo environment for Power Apps and Power Automate and wants to be able to extend that.
They want more free.
So I don't know if there's a hard and fast rule around that. I mean, you'd have to contact support, and MVPs have to do the same thing. There's no automatic extension of those things, and you can request that. Whether Microsoft will do that or not, Neil is shaking his head no. So
never hurts to ask, though.
Yeah,
never hurts to ask, of course.
They've got something going on, I guess, development tenant in Power Apps.
Yeah.
I've seen some
or spin
stuff
up a
on
new
that.
tenant, a new dev tenant.
There was something about that.
Well, unless they're going to lose all their work.
Right.
Well, they haven't finished what they were trying to play with.
But I mean, there's a reason for that. You should be paying for it.
There is that.
If you're using it for that purpose. I mean, if you're doing a demo, I mean, this is a conversation. I will say that. Talk to Microsoft if you are demoing and trying to win a client deal that's going to be good for Microsoft to have as well. They might be more lenient about it and extend that. But this is if you're looking to extend that and just get free services, I'm sorry, you have to pay for it.
Yeah. I'll add to that very briefly that even internally at Microsoft we like my demo tenant is due to expire in about a month, and I don't have a way to extend it, even internally.
Yeah.
Can you forklift your stuff out into another demo tenant if you had to? I don't know.
Well, the thing that, yeah, I mean, I use it for the odd demos. Bear in mind, I work for Microsoft, so I'm not in a position where I'm building collateral, and the demos we can build have a ton of content already embedded, and tons of users and all kinds of scenarios where we can do demonstrations. So I don't really need to. I just need to spin up a new one. It's just a pain in the butt. It'd be easy just to go extend.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
And partners have access to those the demo.microsoft.com environments, which are reloaded with all that dummy data. So, I mean, there are options there.
Yeah. I just feel there's a scenario where, and this kind of makes sense to me, we don't want demo tenants hanging out because we can't extend that. Once tenants are built, the demo tenants don't participate in the rolling of new features generally, so they get stale real quick.
Right.
And the idea is that we want the most up-to-date content packs, that's an old terminology, but
yeah,
you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
They want the up-to-date content packs, the up-to-date scenarios, the up-to-date demonstrations. So it kind of makes sense to just retire and move on.
Long live the content pack.
Well, everybody, hey, we're out of time, but appreciate everybody's time today, and thanks for everybody that's been watching or is watching the recording. Once again, if you have questions that you'd like us to address, we do respond during the week as well, but we'll be back next Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific. But you can email us at officehours@collabtalk.com. Of course, you can find us through the various social networks. None
of us are evading warrants at this point. So.
No, not currently. But you can find, so this is episode 32. So the entire recording will be, it's up on YouTube on the Collab Talk channel. So you can go and find that now. But later today, I'll go through and provide a complete list of all of the questions that we covered, as well as a bunch of the nonsense, the interactions, the storytelling, and fun stuff that happens in between that. But with a link list to each of those so that you can jump to those questions, so you don't have to wade through all 93 minutes of video here. But
are you going to include the image of the flaming toilet?
I'm going to try and include that. That'll probably be in the blog post. And of course, you can find that all out on buckleyplanet.com and my blog, and you'll see all of the other 31 weeks of history as well. And maybe someday, it's a dream of mine to pay an intern to go and build a searchable list, a database of every topic that we've covered. But maybe that'll happen someday. That's what the holidays are for. That's what the next snowstorm is for. Can't go anywhere, you're stuck. Build a searchable database. So, all right, well, thanks, everybody. And we'll talk to you later.
Christian.
Yep.
Thanks, Christian.
I'll play us out with
fun.
more of the music. I'll go back to the rave music. Here we go.